you start off by a pan. I do a triple batch and it goes in a pan this shape. It's probably about 10 by 15 or 12 by 17. And I've sprayed it with a little Pam, and then you put non-stick foil in it. And that'll make it much easier getting it out. So, and you've got this on a hot plate thing, because it's going to get hot when we put the candy in there. So then that's all ready to go. We've got this to spread it out, and this will cut it, and this will mark it. And you'll see what all that does in a minute. Okay, so over here, I do a triple batch, so this is going to be 3 cups of butter. Real butter. Never do margarine.
I wouldn't.
It will never, ever, 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 ever work. So here we have 3 cups of butter. So that's 6 cubes of butter. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cubes of butter. So you put in there, I cook mine on medium-high, somewhere between medium and high. And we're going to put in 3 cups of sugar. 3 cups of butter, 3 cups of sugar. And then we just kind of let this start blending. It takes a bit. Now this is when it's the most crucial to stir, is when it gets all melted. You want to stir this until it comes to a boil. So, just kind of keep moving things around. It'll start melting down. You don't want to melt the butter first. It's a whole different thing if you do that. So you want to start with just the butter that's just in there. It can be room temperature, but don't melt it first and then add the sugar. Go ahead and add the sugar. And then we've got 3 cups of nuts ready to go, and you can use any kind of nuts you want. I like almonds. You can use pecans, walnuts, anything you want. But it's 3 cups of chopped up nuts that will go inside. So you've made this before.
I tried it.
And what happened?
It turned out kind of crumbly. So I know that it didn't harden as much as it should have, so I know that I did something wrong.
Maybe you didn't cook it long enough.
Maybe.
I always think of the color of Kraft caramels. That's the color you want. Because we don't use the thermometer. I was taught to do this, and she didn't use the thermometer. And I've never used the thermometer. It's just by how it looks and how it behaves. But just get in your head the color of a Kraft caramel. That's what you want. So if anything looks familiar, stop me and tell me. Tell me about your experience if anything looks familiar. So,
Well, I'll tell you my experience with English Toffee. It's very nostalgic for me because when I was a kid and we went on a Sunday drive, I would always buy some. And it still is probably my favorite candy. So that's one of the reasons I love it so much.
We've tried everybody's English Toffee, and this one's still better.
It's the best.
The only thing that gets really close is the California Brittle from See's Candy. Well, that's pretty close, but it doesn't have nuts on top. But it's pretty good if you want that flavor. But that's the only thing. Okay, so see now it's starting to loosen up, and this is the time. Now I use a non-stick wok pan. I use a high temperature spatula, and over the years, that's where I have determined it to be the best thing. The non-stick pans are very forgiving, but then the wok pan allows you to stir it right and scrape it right. Okay, so see, it's starting to get creamy.
Is a triple batch.
This is a triple batch. You know, just a little tiny batch you can put in a little 8x8 pan. If you want 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of butter. So if you want to try it for the first time, you don't want to waste something if you've burnt it, ruined it. Yeah, you can start with a small batch until you get really good at it. And then you can try a double batch. But I have that size pan, and a triple batch does really good because I like the thickness that it gives you. But if you want it thinner, just put it in a bigger pan. And you can make it anything you want. I cut mine, I don't break it, so that everybody gets pieces that are the same size. Still want to keep stirring it. You still see pieces of butter in there.
And the heat's on medium?
Medium high.
Medium high.
Yep, right between medium and high.
Did you develop this recipe yourself, Barbara?
No, a gal that worked for me taught me how to make it.
Ah.
And I kind of messed with it a little bit and kind of did my own thing. And I figured out to where you don't have to stand here and stir it the whole time. That's what she taught me. And I figured out how to not have to do that. But when it was most important is now. You want to stir this. And see, I'm kind of like going in little circles around the edge. Just to make sure I'm scraping all of the bottom. It's a non-stick pan, so it never sticks. See, now all the butter is melted. And it's just this creamy thing. And that's what it should do. It should look creamy, it should look all mixed up. I want to say sometimes it takes like 20 minutes to cook it, to be done with it, maybe. But it just depends on your pan, depends on the heat. And like I said, it's how it looks. Don't look at the timer. It's just how it looks. I'd be lost without this spatula.
I have one like it.
I think I got it at Bed Bath & Beyond. And when it starts falling apart, I get a new one. I have to have it. I can't do toffee without it. Okay, now see how it's starting to bubble all over? That's what we want. And see how it's kind of getting thicker? Kind of reminds you of kind of like thin marshmallow cream kind of thing. You want to stir it and kind of get the feel of what's in that pan.
So kind of like this, and then you just do that.
Don't slop it on your feet or on
Right.
your fingers because you will get a blister.
I'm sure. You just make sure you don't want it
So
to
do you
burn,
feel
right?
do you feel like it's getting thicker?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
So now that it's boiling pretty good, at this point you can kind of walk away.
Oh, really?
You don't have to stand here. And you know what? We're just going to time it for a minute. And so if you want to have to fix your pan or measure your nuts or answer the phone, but don't leave it. You got to keep watching it. You can kind of walk away and take a breath. You don't have to stand.